Okay, so the world today, it feels like there's constant chatter, right? Uncertainty, economic stuff, big societal shifts. It's a lot.
It really is. Easy to get caught up in it.
Exactly. But today, we're going to cut through some of that noise. We're diving into an episode called Faith Not Fear, How to Thrive in Uncertain Times.
Hmm. Sounds pretty direct.
Yeah, and our goal here is basically to unpack what they're saying. What's the core message? What are the strategies they offer for handling tough times? Especially this whole angle on fear versus faith they propose.
Okay.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding their specific viewpoint. We'll pull out the main insights, give you the gist without you having to sift through everything.
Good plan. And it's important to know where the source is coming from, right?
Absolutely. What's the context?
Well, the Zion Voice podcast is a prophetic callback to the ancient path. They talk about uncovering hidden truths, exposing counterfeit doctrine.
Okay, so strong language.
Very. They explicitly say they speak what others fear, and they frame their listeners as the remnant.
The remnant. What does that mean in their context?
Within their framework, it generally means those who stand apart, who aren't following mainstream thought or societal norms. So right away, you know you're dealing with a very distinct perspective.
Yeah.
They're looking at current events through this lens of, let's say, spiritual conviction, not conventional wisdom or news analysis.
Got it. And that lens seems to shape everything. The episode jumps right into the anxieties people feel.
Oh, it lists things like talk of economic collapse, rumors of war, food shortages, even concerns about digital control. Paints a picture of a really uncertain future.
Familiar worries for a lot of people right now.
Definitely. But then it hits you with this really strong counter. Do not fear.
Just flat out.
Yeah. And it adds, you were born for this time. You were chosen for these days, which is quite a statement.
Wow. Okay. But you mentioned it goes deeper than just don't be afraid. It defines fear differently.
That's what I found fascinating. It says fear is not just an emotion. It positions fear as the opposite of faith. That framing is central. How does that definition, seeing fear as this active opposing force, really drive their message?
So it's not passive.
Not at all, according to this source. Fear isn't just something you feel. It's presented as this active, controlling thing that can grab hold of you.
Okay.
And then faith is the direct contrast. The podcast puts it like this. Fear looks at circumstances and says, what if? But faith looks at Yah's promises and says, even now, he is with me.
Yah's promises that.
Yah is a Hebrew name for God. Timothy 1.7, Elohim has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind.
Elohim, another specific term.
Right, another Hebrew term for God.
Yeah.
And the implication is stark. You cannot walk in both at the same time.
So it's a choice.
A fundamental choice. Either fear is running your life, or faith is guiding it. It really pushes back against just accepting fear as a natural response.
Yeah.
It calls for a deliberate shift, mentally and spiritually.
Okay, so it acknowledges the reality things are unstable.
Oh, yeah. It explicitly says the world is unstable and the systems are shaking. But then the message isn't despair. It's, this is not a time to shrink back. It's a time to rise up.
Rise up. That's a strong call to action.
Very. And they pull in biblical references again, like Matthew 24, which they say predicts these kinds of days. And they quote Luke 21.28, when these things begin to happen, stand up and lift up your heads because your redemption is drawing near.
Redemption drawing near. Interesting. So what about this line? Your redemption is not in the hands of governments. Your protection is not in the economy. Your hope is in the Most High. What does that really mean?
It means fundamentally rethinking where you place your ultimate trust, especially when things feel chaotic.
Detaching from the usual safety nets.
Exactly. Governments, the economy, these are the conventional anchors. The source is saying, nope, your real security isn't there. It pushes the listener towards a spiritual source of hope and protection.
Which connects back to the remnant idea.
Precisely. It suggests true stability comes from outside these failing systems, aligning with this idea of ancient truth they mention. It's a call for active spiritual engagement, not just passively watching things happen. It's about finding strength somewhere else entirely.
Okay. And to help people find that strength, they offer specific anchors, like scriptures.
Yes, specific scriptural anchors. They present these as, unshakable truths to hold on to.
Can you give some examples they use?
Sure. There's Isaiah 41:10, fear not, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you, that kind of reassurance.
Okay.
Then Psalm 46:1, Elohim is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble.
A classic comfort verse for many.
Right. And Psalm 91, verses 4-7,
Mm-hmm.
he will cover you with his feathers. You will not fear the terror of night. Protection imagery. And also Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares Yah, plans to prosper you, to give you hope and a future.
So how are these verses meant to function for the listener? How do they counter the fear?
The source basically uses them as proof points, evidence that he has not abandoned his people, that he will not forsake the remnant, that God isn't surprised by current events.
So they're presented as solid promises.
Exactly. The goal seems to be for the listener to really internalize these, to make them personal truths. It's about shifting your inner state, finding confidence and stability inside, regardless of what's happening outside.
I like that. It emphasizes that internal shift. Okay, so beyond just the mindset and these anchors, does the source offer practical things to do?
Yes, absolutely. It moves into what it calls prophetic strategies, practical steps for living out this faith when, as they say, fear is all around.
Prophetic strategies. So suggesting these are divinely inspired or particularly insightful for these times.
That's the implication, yes. It's not just advice. It's presented as spiritually guided action.
Okay, let's break those down. What's the first one?
First strategy, start with praise. The claim here is that praise shifts your atmosphere. It silences the voice of fear and invites the presence of Yah. They even reference Psalm 22:3.
So praise is an active tool, not just expressing thanks.
Right, a tool for changing your environment spiritually and emotionally.
Interesting. What's next?
Second, pray with thanksgiving. The instruction is don't just beg, thank him in advance.
Thank him in advance.
Yeah, they point to Philippians 4:6-7 about being anxious for nothing but making requests with thanksgiving. It suggests praying with this sort of built-in confidence, already expecting a positive response.
Okay, number.
Third, meditate on Scripture daily. The explicit goal is replacing fear-based thinking with truth. They mention Psalm 56:3. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. So it's about actively, reprogramming your mind.
Consciously choosing what fills your thoughts. Makes sense. What's the fourth strategy?
Fourth is speak life. This one emphasizes the power of words. Your words have power, it says. The instruction is to declare the promises of Yah out loud every day.
Declare them out loud.
Yes, referencing Proverbs 18:21 about life and death being in the power of the tongue. The idea is your spoken words can actually shape your reality.
Okay, powerful concept. What's number 5?
Fifth, walk by faith, not by sight. They quote 2 Corinthians 5:7 directly. For we walk by faith, not by sight. And the added directive is, even when it looks dark, choose to walk in light.
So acting on belief even when circumstances look grim.
Exactly. Making decisions based on that spiritual conviction, not just what you can see around you, which might be discouraging.
All right, and the last one, number 6.
Finally, in number 6, trust his daily provision. The core advice here is you don't need to figure out everything. Just walk with him today and let him handle tomorrow.
Taking it one day at a time.
Pretty much. They base this on Matthew 6:34. Do not worry about tomorrow. It's about focusing on the present, trusting you'll have what you need today, and letting go of anxious future planning.
Okay, so those 6 strategies. Praise, thanksgiving and prayer, scripture meditation, speaking life, walking by faith, and trusting daily provision.
Yeah, and what's really striking when you look at them together is how they frame faith. It's not passive belief. It's presented as this really active, deliberate, ongoing spiritual discipline.
Like a toolkit.
Exactly. A toolkit for spiritual resilience, requiring conscious effort on multiple fronts: your thoughts, your words, your actions, your focus.
And the episode kind of wraps this all up at the end.
It does. It concludes with a prayer. It focuses on canceling every lie of fear, speaking peace, and really reinforcing trust for the future.
A final consolidation of the message.
Yes, and that prayer leads into the final takeaway message, which is very empowering. It essentially says, you are not powerless. You were born to stand in this hour.
Born for this.
Right. You are the light in darkness, the voice in the storm, the remnant who walks by faith. It's a strong reinforcement of purpose and capability for the listener facing uncertain times.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the end. We've really unpacked a specific faith-based approach to handling fear and uncertainty.
We covered quite a bit.
Yeah, 6 practical strategies for living in faith. Hopefully, this has given you, our listener, a clear pathway through this particular viewpoint, a sort of shortcut to understanding its message of empowerment and action when facing global anxieties.
And maybe it leaves you with something to think about. Given this source's heavy emphasis on finding hope and security outside of the usual systems, governments, economies, etc.,
Yeah.
it might be worth considering. Where do you place your ultimate trust when things feel uncertain? And in today's world, with so much information coming at us, what does it really mean for you to potentially stand apart?